Well, in 58 years of interviewing, I've interviewed many, many, many politicians, moderated many debates, watched a lot of politics. At the crux of it, politics is a tough game. I want your job, you want my job, and we're asking people to vote for us. It's ego-driven. It's always been that way. The difference now is with social media, the avenues of expression are such that the campaigns in America begin 2 years before the race. The public is tired of it a year before it happens. You feel like enough already. So what happens is now you can have a Trump or a Sanders or others burst forward, and then because of the constant exposure and too much attention, you burn out.
I mean, not only have the politics changed over the decades in the US, obviously here and in the US, interview styles have changed, haven't you? Or the interviews that the politicians will put themselves, the interviewers they'll put themselves in front of has changed. We get a lot of, I suppose, hard interviews in some decades. Then the politicians went for a more chat show style. Now they seem to end up on late night comedy shows.
I don't mean to boast. I thought that my style, everyone's style is their own. You learn more. In other words, if you ask good questions and you elicit thoughtful answers, you'll learn more about the person. If the interview's hot, if I begin an interview by saying, "Evan, why'd you do that?" I make you defensive. That may be thrilling television, but you don't learn a lot. I learned that the more I drew back, asked good questions, listened to the answers, cared about the guest, the biggest compliment you could get, as Sinatra once said, you make the camera disappear.
Because sometimes people say, "Oh, Larry King, too softball."
I've never understood the softball question. When I've been told that, I ask, well, give me an example of a softball. What is a softball question? And I've never heard a good example. In other words, is a softball question, what is a softball would be, I love you. I've never said that. I don't know what that means. To me, there's one or the other. Do you ask good questions? Do you ask shorter questions so that the guest can talk? Do you listen to the answers? And do you follow up based on what the guest said?
Okay, so this is interesting.
That's the role.
This is useful for relative rookie compared to a very experienced interviewer. One of the ways in which I think people distinguish is an open question, tell me why you did this, or a more closed question, did you do this because of X, yes or no?
The problem with a "did you" is all I can say is no. See, if you say "did," I can answer no. Answer me anything beginning with "did." Anything beginning with "did."
Well, it'll be.
Say it.
It'll be
Ask
yes or
any
no.
question.
I know it is.
No, I don't want to know. I don't want a yes. I want a why. So in other words, I want to be a little kind of dumb. My friend Herbie said the secret of my success was being dumb. Why did you do that? What do you mean by that? So if I ask questions like, did you go to that meeting? Did you go to that meeting?
Did you or did you not go to that meeting is even more closed, isn't it? The
No.
sort of the typical.
Yes.
So let me ask you a why question. Why have you got so involved in a ridiculous personal spat with your successor at CNN, Piers Morgan? It just goes on and on.
I don't understand it anymore. All I try to do is when I'm asked a question, I answer honestly. And if I'm asked about Piers, I say, I like him personally. I didn't like his style of broadcasting. That's all I meant. If he's thin-skinned, he's thin-skinned. If you don't like the way I work, say it. That's all. If you like the way I work, say that. That's all I've said. I got nothing against Piers. He's fine.
And what didn't you like about his program?
Too much about him.
He became famous at CNN for his personal crusade against, liberal gun laws in the US. And what did you think about that in particular? And what do you think about the issue?
I think the gun laws are wrong in the US, which the NRA didn't have as much clout as it has. And I try to ask good questions of people who favor it, but I never screamed at a guest. It wasn't my style. It's just not, I'm not a browbeater. That's just not my style. So I don't like that style, no matter who's doing that kind of stuff.
I think no one would have guessed Larry King was going to come back on RT, which we think of as Russia Today. They've changed the name now, it's just RT. But we think, you're the all-American interviewer.
RT distributes our program. We do the program for Aura.tv, and we're distributed by Hulu in the States. We have a wonderful arrangement with RT. They never have interfered with anything I've ever done.
Have they ever said, look, we don't want that episode, we'll take
I've
that
never
one?
Had that, never had that happen. We have Putin criticized frequently.
You've never self-censored when you've been making a program thinking this would be a bit awkward
By
for
the
the
way,
client?
I've never done that in my life. If the audience trusts me, if you trust me to ask good questions, that I don't come with any agenda, then you can watch me in complete comfort knowing that nobody is telling me what to ask or what to do or what not to do. So I'm happy to be on RT.
One or two journalists have left. There was one, Liz Wall, left very publicly. Did you see the clip where she's reading the news and says, we're being told what to say, it has to be pro-Putin, and kind of says, I'm leaving.
I've heard about it. I've interviewed Putin twice, spoken to him on the phone a few times. I didn't know the story, but that never happened to me. So I can only judge it off me. If she were told what to say, I think that's wrong. I think if anybody's fired for having an opinion, that's wrong. I just don't agree with it.
And you actually got on quite well with Putin. I think you've interviewed him more than once. It was one of your latter interviews on CNN.
He asked to come on.
Yeah.
He said, you can't leave, yeah. Well, I
he's
like
pariah, though, in the West at the moment. I mean,
he's a pariah, but he's a good guest. What we want is a good guest, right? Evan, you want a good guest?
Yeah. No, we have a slot for him if he's willing to come on, I'm sure.
You're damn right. You don't want a guest who, okay, maybe I don't know what I'm going to do next. You don't want that, right? So you want someone who's forceful, has an opinion, and sometimes people who are against the grain are the best interviews. If you ask me who in history would you like to interview, well, certainly I'd want to interview Lincoln, I'd want to interview Christ, I'd want to interview Hitler. What made Hitler tick? Yeah. Doesn't that fascinate you? Because we've read about this horrible man. What made him tick? Why did he like a whole group of people just because of their faith? Don't you wonder about that?
No,
Wouldn't you like to know?
Indeed.
Aha. Wouldn't you like to interview Hitler? Wouldn't you like, Evan, to sit down with Adolf Hitler?
I mean, it's a really, really good and pertinent question. It's
Think
a very
about
interesting
it. Would you
one.
decline him?
No, I wouldn't. And I wouldn't put Putin in the category of Hitler, incidentally. And
No,
I'm sure you're not doing
What
that.
I'm saying is, this is important to learn. Nobody gets up in the morning, combs his hair, and says, I am evil. I am a terrible person, and today I'm going to do more horrible things to make people dislike me. Nobody does that. Since they don't do that, I want to learn why people who do evil things that I personify as evil do them. Why do people want to conquer nations? Why? What do you get out of that?
I'm going to ask you a closed question, because I know a lot of people in the audience are saying at home, they're sitting there saying, he did it for the money. Did you do it? Did you sell your program to RT for the money?
I never did anything for the money.
No?
I never got into this business for the money. Look at this. I have never, in 58 years, gone to work. I've gone to do a show. I've never gone to work. You're not working now, Evan. We're sitting here talking and they pay you. Who are you kidding?
I wonder if you'll outlive CNN. I mean, CNN, of course.
Outlive CNN?
Yeah, CNN, the 24-hour TV news channels, they're having a difficult time, aren't they? It's hard to hold the...
Well, CNN's in a tough spot because in America we have Fox News, which is all the way to the right. That's a Republican Party ticket. MSNBC, which is to the left, that's like a Democratic Party. And CNN in the middle. So CNN depends on big stories. And they do a lot of documentaries. But they're in a tough... I don't know how I would program CNN. I'd probably go back to the old-fashioned way. I'd hire a lot of Larry Kings.
I mean, Larry King, it's been a great pleasure. It's been
My pleasure, Evan. Thank you.